Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. What happens when someone doesn't respect you? Do you shrink? Do you retaliate? Or do you rise above? Today, I'm going to share 5 powerful ways to handle those who don't respect you. Because respect isn't just something you ask for, it's something you embody. 1. Know your worth. The first step is to value yourself. If you don't respect yourself, why would anyone else? Stand tall in who you are, flaws and all. Know what you bring to the table, and don't let anyone make you feel small. People sense confidence, and when you know your worth, others are forced to recognize it too. 2. Lead with actions, not words. Respect isn't won in arguments or debates. It's earned through how you carry yourself. When someone disrespects you, resist the urge to fight back with words. Instead, let your actions shine brighter than their negativity. Walk with purpose, work with integrity, and live with honor. That's how you make them take notice. 3. Set boundaries and enforce them. Sometimes, people don't respect you because you haven't shown them where the line is. Draw that line. Make it clear what's acceptable and what isn't. And when they cross it, don't hesitate to enforce the boundary. Respect isn't about being liked. It's about being clear and consistent. In quotes, 4. Choose elevation over confrontation. There's a saying, never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty and the pig likes it. When someone disrespects you, don't stoop to their level. Instead, rise above. Show them that their words or actions have no power over you. Elevation is the antidote to disrespect. 5. Surround yourself with respectful people. Finally, look at the company you keep. Respect is contagious, but so is disrespect. If someone consistently disrespects you, it might be time to step away. Life is too short to spend it around people who can't see your value. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, and watch how your world transforms. In closing, remember this: respect isn't about forcing others to acknowledge you. It's about walking in such a way that they have no choice but to. Value yourself, act with integrity, set boundaries, rise above negativity, and choose your company wisely. You are worthy of respect, but you have to believe it first. Respect begins within you. It's not something you beg for or demand. It's something you emanate. People treat you based on the cues you give them about how you see yourself. That's why valuing yourself is not just important, it's the foundation for how the world interacts with you. If you don't believe you're worth respect, it becomes easy for others to mirror that belief back to you. Self-respect is your compass. It determines how you navigate relationships, handle challenges, and respond to adversity. When you value yourself, you set a standard. Think about it. If you don't treat yourself with care and dignity, why would anyone else? It's not about arrogance or ego. It's about knowing, deep in your core, that you have worth. This isn't about perfection either. You don't have to be flawless to deserve respect. It's about embracing your imperfections and strengths, understanding that they make you unique. Respecting yourself means recognizing that your voice matters, your needs are valid, and your presence has value. But self-worth isn't something that appears overnight. It's cultivated through your actions and thoughts. Start by looking inward. Are the things you say to yourself kind and empowering, or are they critical and defeating? The way you speak to yourself becomes the foundation of how you allow others to speak to you. If you're constantly telling yourself you're not good enough, you subconsciously permit others to treat you the same way. But when you affirm your worth, you create an invisible barrier that says, this is the standard, and I won't accept less. Valuing yourself also means setting boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. It's easy to fall into the trap of overcommitting, over-explaining, or overextending yourself to gain approval. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values or well-being, you're saying no to yourself. And over time, this erodes your self-respect. Saying no is not selfish. It's an act of self-care. It's a way of reminding yourself and others that your time, energy, and emotions are precious. Self-respect also shows in how you take care of yourself. It's in the small, everyday choices, how you present yourself, the effort you put into your goals, and even how you handle setbacks. When you respect yourself, you're not looking for others to validate your worth. You become your own anchor. That's why self-respect often starts with discipline. Whether it's taking care of your health, pursuing your passions, or maintaining your mental clarity, these acts of discipline send a message to yourself and to others that you take your life seriously. Now, valuing yourself doesn't mean you won't face challenges or criticism. There will always be people who try to diminish you, consciously or unconsciously. But when you have self-respect, those moments don't shake your foundation. Instead, they become opportunities to reinforce your worth. When someone disrespects you, you don't have to overreact or engage in a fight. Your response, or lack thereof, can make a statement. Silence, confidence, and composure speak volumes. They show that you're not swayed by someone else's inability to see your value. Remember, respect isn't about being loud or demanding. It's about being consistent. It's in the way you walk into a room, the way you meet challenges head-on, and the way you treat others, even when they don't reciprocate. Valuing yourself isn't just about standing up for yourself when someone crosses a line. It's about living every day with the quiet confidence that you are worthy, regardless of what anyone else thinks. It's a permanent. And here's the truth. People will often treat you as a reflection of how they see themselves. When someone disrespects you, it's rarely about you. It's a projection of their own insecurities or struggles. But if you don't respect yourself, it becomes easy to internalize their behavior as a measure of your worth. Don't fall into that trap. Stand firm in the knowledge that their inability to respect you doesn't change your value. Self-respect is also contagious. When you carry yourself with dignity, people notice. They may not always admit it, but they can't help but respond to someone who values themselves. It sets a tone, it creates a presence. And even if someone doesn't respect you outwardly, they'll think twice before treating you poorly. So start today. Look in the mirror and remind yourself of who you are. Not who others think you are, not who the world tells you to be, but who you know yourself to be. Because when you value yourself, the world has no choice but to take notice. You set the tone, you set the standard, and you set the boundaries. And that, my friends, is the first and most powerful step to handling those who don't respect you. Your caress is the one powerful thing that will handle the ones who don't respect you. Respect isn't something you demand with words, it's something you earn with actions. In a world where everyone is quick to speak, argue, and defend themselves, the quiet power of consistent action often goes unnoticed. But it is undeniable. When someone disrespects you, the natural impulse might be to retaliate, to argue, or to explain why you deserve better. But those moments are precisely when you should let your actions do the talking. Words can be ignored, twisted, or dismissed, but actions, steady, undeniable, and clear, have a way of cutting through all the noise. Mason. When you respond to disrespect with composure, confidence, and integrity, you send a message far louder than any heated words ever could. It's not about being passive or allowing someone to walk over you. It's about showing through your demeanor and decisions that their behavior has no power over you. You don't argue for respect, you embody it. People may not like it, but they can't deny it. Actions grounded in self-respect and purpose have a way of commanding attention and, over time, changing the dynamic. Consistency is key. One action, no matter how powerful, isn't enough if it's not backed by a pattern of behavior that reinforces your worth. Think about how you carry yourself daily. Are you honoring your commitments? Are you meeting your responsibilities with excellence? Are you treating others with kindness and fairness, even when it's not reciprocated? These choices matter because they create a narrative about who you are. They show that your respectability isn't situational, it's a core part of your character. When others see that you don't compromise your values, even under pressure, it forces them to reevaluate their approach to you. Disrespect often stems from a belief that someone won't push back or that they can be easily swayed. But when you show that your principles aren't negotiable, it creates a boundary that words alone could never establish. You don't have to announce that you won't tolerate disrespect. Your actions will make that clear without you saying a word. You will show them, which is the most important compliment they can give. When you violate, actions are particularly powerful in situations where direct confrontation isn't possible or productive. For example, in a workplace where someone undermines you or dismisses your contributions, arguing might only escalate the situation. But if you consistently deliver high-quality work, meet deadlines, and contribute value, your results speak for themselves. Over time, even the most dismissive individuals have to acknowledge your contributions because they're undeniable. Respect, in this context, isn't about forcing someone to like you. It's about ensuring they can't overlook you. It's also important to remember that actions rooted in self-respect aren't just about proving something to others. They're about proving something to yourself. When you respond to negativity with grace and strength, you reinforce your own sense of worth. You show yourself that you don't need external validation to know your value. This inner confidence becomes a shield against the opinions and actions of others. Disrespect may sting, but it won't shake you, because you're grounded in who you are. However, letting your actions speak doesn't mean avoiding conflict at all costs. There are moments when addressing disrespect directly is necessary, but even in those moments, your demeanor and approach matter. A calm, measured response carries far more weight than an emotional outburst. It shows that you're in control, that you've thought about your actions, and that you're acting from a place of self-respect rather than reaction. Sacrifice completes the process of self-reference rather than reaction. Even if the other person doesn't change their behavior, you've upheld your own standard, and that's what truly matters. There's also a ripple effect to this kind of behavior. When you handle disrespect with integrity, others notice. You may inspire someone who's been struggling with similar challenges to adopt the same approach. You may earn the admiration of someone who values the strength it takes to remain composed in the face of adversity. And sometimes, the person who disrespected you might even rethink their actions, not because you forced them to, but because your example made them see things differently. It's a quiet power, this ability to lead with actions rather than words. It's not flashy, and it won't always bring instant results, but it's deeply effective. Over time, people come to respect consistency, dignity, and strength. They may not say it out loud, and they may not even realize it consciously, but they feel it. Your actions create an undeniable presence that speaks for itself. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause. Don't rush to defend yourself with words. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do in this moment to show who I am, to affirm my own worth, without seeking their approval? Then, act accordingly. Because respect isn't something you argue for, it's something you live for. And boundaries are essential for respect. Without them, people may unintentionally, or sometimes deliberately, cross lines that should never be crossed. Setting boundaries is not about being rigid or unapproachable. It's about creating a framework that ensures mutual understanding and respect. When you establish clear boundaries, you're not just protecting yourself, you're teaching others how to treat you. And while it may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to asserting yourself, boundaries are one of the most powerful tools for commanding respect. Boundaries begin with knowing yourself. You need to understand your values, priorities, and limits before you can communicate them to others. What are the behaviors you find unacceptable? What do you need to feel safe, valued, and respected in your relationships and interactions? These answers form the foundation of your boundaries. They aren't arbitrary rules you impose on others. They're reflections of your self-worth and what you're willing to tolerate. The same discipline you make. The next step is communicating those boundaries clearly. This can be challenging, especially if you're dealing with someone who doesn't easily respect others. But clarity is crucial. Ambiguity leaves room for misinterpretation, and silence can be taken as permission. For example, if someone speaks to you in a way that feels dismissive or disrespectful, you have every right to address it. A simple, firm statement like, "I'd appreciate it if we could keep our conversation respectful," can go a long way. It's direct, without being confrontational, and it sets the tone for how you expect to be treated. Enforcing boundaries is where many people struggle. Setting a boundary is one thing, but sticking to it requires consistency and confidence. There will be moments when someone tests your limits, whether intentionally or not. In those moments, it's important to hold firm. If you've communicated that a certain behavior is unacceptable, and it happens again, you must take action. This doesn't mean reacting with anger or aggression. It means calmly but decisively reinforcing your boundary. For instance, if someone continually interrupts you during meetings, you might say, "I value everyone's input, but I'd like the chance to finish my thoughts before we move on." Repeated violations might require stronger action, such as addressing the issue privately or involving a mediator if necessary. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about controlling your response to others. You can't change how someone behaves, but you can decide what you will or won't accept. This mindset shift is liberating. It allows you to focus on your actions rather than getting caught up in the behavior of others. It also removes the emotional weight of trying to force someone to change, which is often an exercise in frustration. Instead, you draw the line and let others decide whether they can respect it. If they can't, then you have a decision to make about whether that relationship or interaction is worth continuing. Sometimes, setting boundaries means walking away. It's not always easy, but it's necessary in certain situations. If someone repeatedly disrespects you despite your efforts to communicate and enforce boundaries, it's a clear sign that they don't value your needs. Staying in that dynamic only drains your energy and chips away at your self-respect. Walking away doesn't mean you failed. It means you've chosen yourself over a situation that doesn't serve you. It means you've chosen yourself over a situation that doesn't serve you. Put your gun on wire and check the pressure. It's an act of self-care and a powerful declaration of your worth. Boundaries also require self-discipline. It's easy to set a boundary in the heat of the moment, but maintaining it over time takes effort. You might feel tempted to let things slide to avoid conflict or to keep the peace, but every time you compromise your boundary, you're sending a message to yourself and others that it's negotiable. Consistency is key. It shows that you're serious about what you've communicated and that you respect yourself enough to stand by your principles. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being accommodating or avoiding conflict. You might worry about how others will react or fear being seen as difficult, but the truth is, people who genuinely respect and care for you will understand and honor your boundaries. They might not get it right every time, but they'll make an effort because they value the relationship. On the other hand, those who consistently push back against your boundaries are revealing their own lack of respect, and that's something you need to take seriously. Boundaries are also about mutual respect. They're not just about protecting yourself, but about creating an environment where everyone knows what to expect. When you set boundaries, you're also showing others that you respect their time, space, and feelings. It's a two-way street, and healthy boundaries create the foundation for healthy relationships. In the end, boundaries are a reflection of your self-worth. They're a way of saying, "I value myself enough to protect my energy and well-being." They're not about being inflexible or controlling. They're about being clear about who you are and what you need. When you set and enforce boundaries, you're teaching others to respect you, and just as importantly, you're teaching yourself that you deserve respect. And just as importantly, you're teaching yourself that you deserve respect. When faced with disrespect, the instinctive reaction for many is to respond in kind, to meet negativity with negativity. It's a natural impulse. No one enjoys being mistreated or undervalued. However, the true test of strength lies in your ability to rise above that instinct, to hold yourself to a higher standard, even when others fail to do the same. Disrespect from others does not diminish your value. It reflects their inability to see it. The way you respond to such behavior defines your character far more than their actions define yours. Rising above negativity means refusing to engage on the same level as those who disrespect you. It's not about being passive or ignoring the problem. It's about choosing a response that preserves your dignity and integrity. When someone disrespects you, they're often looking for a reaction, something to validate their behavior or justify their actions. By refusing to give them that reaction, you maintain control over the situation, and more importantly, over yourself. Silence, composure, and a calm demeanor can be more disarming than any argument or retaliation. This isn't to say you should tolerate mistreatment or allow others to walk over you. Rising above doesn't mean avoiding conflict altogether. It means addressing it in a way that reflects your values rather than theirs. If a conversation is necessary, approach it with clarity and calmness. Speak your truth, firmly but respectfully. Let your words carry the weight of your conviction without being clouded by anger or frustration. A measured response demonstrates confidence and control, which are far more powerful than any display of aggression or hostility. Number 2. It's important to understand that rising above is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending that disrespect doesn't hurt. It's natural to feel upset, angry, or disappointed when someone treats you poorly. Acknowledge those emotions, but don't let them dictate your actions. Reacting impulsively or emotionally often leads to regret and can escalate the situation further. Instead, take a moment to pause, breathe, and center yourself. Ask yourself whether your response will contribute to a resolution or simply add fuel to the fire. Rising above also involves perspective. Often, disrespect comes from a place of insecurity, ignorance, or unresolved issues within the other person. Recognizing this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help you detach from it emotionally. When you realize that their actions are more about them than about you, it becomes easier to maintain your composure and stay grounded. You're not responsible for their behavior, but you are responsible for how you respond to it. One of the most powerful ways to rise above negativity is to focus on your own growth and success. Let your achievements, character, and actions speak for themselves. When you channel your energy into becoming the best version of yourself, the opinions or actions of others lose their grip on you. Success is often the best response to disrespect, not because it proves anything to others, but because it reaffirms your own worth. The higher you climb, the less time you have to dwell on those who try to pull you down. It's also worth noting that rising above isn't about winning or losing. It's not about proving a point or coming out on top in a confrontation. It's about preserving your peace and protecting your energy. Engaging with negativity drains your focus and takes you away from what truly matters. By choosing to rise above, you're prioritizing your well-being over the fleeting satisfaction of getting even. There's a quiet power in elevation. It shows that you're not easily shaken, that your confidence and self-worth don't hinge on someone else's approval or behavior. It also sets a precedent for how others perceive and treat you. People tend to respect those who remain poised under pressure, who don't allow themselves to be drawn into petty disputes or unnecessary drama. Your ability to stay composed in the face of disrespect sends a clear message. You're not someone who can be easily diminished. Sometimes rising above means walking away. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every person is worth your time or energy. There's strength in recognizing when a situation is unproductive and choosing to remove yourself from it. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's a declaration that you value your peace more than the need to engage with negativity. Ultimately, rising above disrespect is about staying true to yourself. It's about choosing actions that align with your values even when faced with provocation. It's about refusing to let someone else's behavior dictate your own. When you rise above, you not only protect your self-respect, you inspire others to do the same. And in doing so, you create a ripple effect that extends far beyond the immediate situation, demonstrating that dignity and grace are far more powerful than any act of disrespect.